各位早安佛光的观众菩萨，大家平安吉祥。各位看哦，星期六又是我们妙光法师的时间哈。在他正式为大家解说之前，我先说哈，之前用师父的这个星云禅话星云说记然后去这个改编的英文教材那之后呢，因为我看呢，我们的观众朋友们一直说，哎呀，这要有字幕需要有或者说看不懂想听的听不懂等等这些意见所以呢，我在妙光法师讲说的教材之中找出了早期这个将近20年前吧，各位一看说，哎呦，这么年轻的妙光法师他说他现在都要奔5了，就要向5字头开始前出发这个时候应该20几岁但是一样真的是怎么讲？那过去修来就是来说法的当然一样是用英文讲说，但很好的就是说，这是我们电视佛学就人间卫视佛光山的人间卫视制作的早期有一个单元叫电视佛学院，其中的这个英文佛学名相那一共呢有6讲那它每一讲因为有一些公益广告，它切成4段那现在呢我们就把2段大概都是20来分钟然后就接为一集那今天呢等于是皈依三宝的这个相关内容的上半段那当然下一周就要进入到这个皈依三宝的下半段就是用这种方式。那各位在看的时候呢你这是要看中文的有字幕你想学英文佛学的也有英文的字幕同时可以听我想这样对大家学习帮助应该就很大那另外呢，我其实今天也想提起一个观念就是各位如果您的中英文都很好，请你发心学习然后呢帮忙翻译笔译或者说口译都好需要人那在英语系的国家如果您所在的地方是英语系的国家当然我在这里讲不管是欧洲澳洲北美洲这都是英语系那就是如果您可以帮忙的话，你就接着这样学习其实在佛光山总本山的网站上，像 iBuddha 这一系列有好多相关内容那还有妙光法师很多的英文讲说您帮忙把它这个从英文名相去学习中文的呢你也要学，两边都学你有中文的佛学基础再去听英文的佛学会比较更容易一点那到时候要翻译的时候当然你不用想说哇一堂课1个小时2小时我翻不来你就从3分钟5分钟然后找一组人是读书会我们都来读像这样英文佛学我们就发现我们这个读书会就是要组织一个这个双语的那到时候我们可以我们这个读书会一起来帮忙翻译如果说以渥太华来讲这个慢慢这英语人士也多了真的很需要翻译耶那如果把它学起来，你又多了一个菩萨道上你要行菩萨道要帮助别人的一个很好的工具，你就拥有了那相反的说，有的人讲说我不要学到时候我好紧张我很害怕，我不敢去翻。如果这样呢，就表示你这个菩提苗还很小但是你要成长没有关系，让他成长到有一天你说我看他不懂我好难过他偏偏我学的不够，那个时候才后悔书到用时方恨少，不如现在请把它学起来吧，我们一起发愿来学，去帮助那些因为语文不懂中文然后学佛受到阻碍的人，我们一起来发愿好吗？好了，那就现在先来听妙光法师来带着我们进入英文的佛学，一起学习。祝福大家，阿弥陀佛。
Hi, welcome to English Buddhist terminology. What you're actually watching here is the very first episode set up by Fo Guangshan's Buddhist College on TV for our English viewers. because we know that this channel can now be watched from almost every corner of the world. Therefore, of course, we're not going to leave out our English speakers because you're a very important part of our community. So here, the way we're going to conduct this program is by exploring various Buddhist terminologies in English. So the first thing we're going to look at today is the first step to becoming a Buddhist, which is taking refuge in the Triple Gem. Taking refuge in the Triple Gem is a gateway into Buddhism. A lot of people have asked me, I'm interested in learning Buddhism, and I'm also interested in practicing Buddhism, but how do I go about becoming a Buddhist? So here, my answer for you will be to take refuge in the Triple Gem. When you take refuge in the Triple Gem, or when you go to a ceremony that does this, you are actually making a public declaration that you choose Buddhism as your religion for the rest of your life. Now you may think, what if I just believe in Buddhism and I just practice Buddhism, then I don't take refuge in the Triple Gem. Because I don't see the need in participating in the ceremony. Doesn't that still make me a Buddhist? Let me give you an example. If you were to study at a school as a student, you would need to enroll in that school before you become its formal student. So the same goes to taking refuge in the Triple Gem. By taking part in a ceremony like this, it is a step for you to make yourself a true Buddhist. Another example is, when you want to become a citizen of a country, you don't just say it. Say, for example, you don't just say, I'm an American, and that makes you one. Because that's not the way that's not the way things work. Instead, you have to take oath. You have to show your obligations and commitments to this country as its citizen. Therefore, the same goes to taking refuge in the Triple Gem. If you never actually take refuge in the Triple Gem, you will always be considered as only an observer who watches from outside the door. So this is how important taking refuge in the Triple Gem can be. What is taking refuge like? Taking refuge in the Triple Gem is like a child seeking for comfort and safety from his parents. When you see a boy crying, if his parents come along, then maybe he sees that it's my mom and dad, then I'm okay now, then he will stop crying. So the Triple Gem does the same in offering us this kind of protection and safety. Also, taking refuge is like a navigator having a compass in his hand when he's navigating at sea, especially at times when he's lost. This compass will offer him the right directions for him to get back home safely. Also, taking refuge is like you suddenly finding a light in the dark when you're walking in the dark. When this happens, remember, when you have to walk home very late at night on the streets, sometimes even a lamp will give you a much stronger sense of safety. So this is what the Triple Gem does. It offers you a sense of safety and direction in the dark. Now, before I actually go into the deeper meaning of refuge taking, I will start by talking about the 3 items that constitute the Triple Gem here. What are the Triple Gem? The Triple Gem consists of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And what is the Triple Gem? In this world, many of us depend on worldly fortunes, say for example money, diamonds, or other assets or jewelries to satisfy our economic needs. But here, the Triple Gem offers us a spiritual wealth that satisfies our spiritual needs. So at the same time, the Triple Gem offers us a guideline in life. It guides us into the right directions, and it also takes us to liberation. The first of the Triple Gem is Buddha. Buddha is a Sanskrit word that means awakened one or the enlightened one. The Buddha has achieved perfection in character and personality. So you will find nothing wrong with the way he presents himself or the way he treats other people. He has also attained wisdom that cannot be compared by other people. Thirdly, a Buddha is one whose love and compassion for all sentient beings are impartial and no different. So he treats us as all the same. The Buddha is also a sage who has transcended the three realms. These three realms, which will be discussed in our later episodes, are realms of form, desire, and formlessness. Or in the correct order, I'll repeat again, the three realms are the realms of desire, form, and formlessness. Here, let me tell you a little story about who the Buddha is. Here, when we talk about the Buddha with a capital B, we are referring to Sakyamuni Buddha. And still, at the same time, if you see a word that starts with a small b, Buddha with a small b, it simply means an enlightened one, or Buddha. So Sakyamuni Buddha, he was a prince born about 2,500 years ago in northern India. His father was King Suddhodana, who ruled the kingdom of the Sakyas in the place which we call today's Nepal. His mother, Queen Maya, after giving birth to him at Lumbini Garden, passed away quickly. Therefore, the duty of raising the little prince fell onto the shoulders of the prince's auntie, Mahaprajapati. At a young age, Prince Siddhartha married the young and devoted and beautiful Prince Yashodhara. So together the two of them lived very luxurious, comfortable, and carefree lives inside the palace. However, one day, it was the prince's curiosity over what actually happens outside the palace that brought him outside the wall. And when he had finally left his palace, he was exposed to the shocking truth of birth, old age, sickness, and death. This then inspired him to search for the truth of life, for the meaning of life, for a reason to why there is so much suffering in life, and for a way to take these people or take himself away from the suffering. Therefore, he left his palace, his family, and his young son to go into the woods. He followed many different teachers for many years, but none of these teachers could satisfy his questions about life. So after a short while, he left and went his own way. He practiced for 6 years without not being able to find the right way or the right answer. And it was finally until one evening when he was sitting underneath the Bodhi tree while he was gazing upon the stars that he attained enlightenment. Therefore, he became the Buddha. This is only a basic story about the Buddha, of course. If we ever have a chance to actually talk more about the story of Sakyamuni Buddha, I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting event. But now let's get back to the Triple Gem. What makes Buddhism different from the other religions is that in many other religions, their founders tend to be regarded as a deity or a being with authorities that cannot be challenged. But what makes the Buddha different is that he regarded himself as the same as all the rest of the sentient beings. The only thing is that he is an awakened or enlightened sentient being, while us, the ordinary beings, are beings who are simply waiting to become enlightened. So we are all future Buddhas. This also tells us that we all possess the Buddha nature within ourselves. So when we take refuge in the Buddha, we're actually taking refuge in the Buddha that lies deeply within us. So again, we are actually all Buddhas. Therefore, in a refuge ceremony, especially conducted by Master Xing Yun, you will hear him saying the following words. Repeat after me. I am the Buddha. Once again, I am the Buddha. So now that you have declared that you are a Buddha, you remind yourself that a Buddha will not go around smoking, killing, stealing things, or doing things that will harm other people. So taking refuge in the Buddha is like having a power station in our hearts that generates a lot of light and hope. We'll find no more fear in the dark. And also, it will be like eyes that can see in the dark. It will offer us a sense of security once again. So taking refuge in the Buddha, this power station is a source of energy that will generate peace and freedom of mind within ourselves. So that was the basic meaning of taking refuge in the Buddha. Just before, we have just taken refuge in the Buddha. So now, let us continue down the path of taking refuge and look at the Dharma. Dharma is a Sanskrit word that has many different meanings. For one thing, it means the teachings of the Buddha that was expounded by him throughout his 49 years of teaching as a Buddha, and of course in over 300 gatherings that he held. Another meaning is that the Dharma is writings. They represent the writings in the Buddhist canon, which are sutras and commentaries of what the Buddha had said. After the Buddha entered Nirvana, it was his disciples, Mahakasyapa and Ananda, who gathered the Buddha's disciples together and compiled these sutras and commentary. Later in the history, commentaries were composed and written. Also, the Dharma can be regarded as an embodiment or the spirit of the Buddha. Furthermore, the Dharma is like a mirror that is able to reflect the deepest truth within us. So it shows us how to free ourselves from our worries, our defilements, and suffering. Dharma is also the truth that guides us towards enlightenment. So the moment we touch truth, we actually begin to change ourselves. It's as if the moment a light shines into a dark room, the darkness goes away. It's also like a hand that covers up a source of light. Just take this hand away, you see light again. So this is the Dharma. When we take refuge in the Dharma, in a way, we are taking refuge in the truth. So I've talked about Dharma, I've talked about the truth. So what exactly is this truth? You may wonder. Here, let me tell you. The truth was something that was realized by the Buddha. He said upon his enlightenment that all phenomena arise from causes and conditions, and all phenomena are obliterated by cause and conditions. Other forms of truth include impermanence. Impermanence is a truth of life, that everything is in a continuous stage of flux. Everything continues to change. So the moment you're experiencing now will quickly become a past, because it has changed. So everything exists according to this rule, because nothing will exist forever. No phenomena will exist forever. So this is the idea of impermanence. Also, cause and effect was the other teachings taught by the Buddha, that every cause will result in its own effect. So everything you do, everything that happens will result in an effect. And consequently, this effect will become another cause that creates a different effect, and so on. The next example of the truth that I'm going to give you is the 3 Dharma seals. Of course, we will discuss this term later in the future episodes. But basically, for something to be true, it needs to adhere or correspond to the idea presented in the 3 Dharma seals. What are the 3 Dharma seals? The fact that, number 1, everything is impermanent. And number 2, nothing has a nature of self. And number 3, nirvana is the ultimate peace or tranquility. Another example of the truth is emptiness, that everything is empty in nature. But here I'm not saying everything does not exist. Say, look at my hand as an example. You can see that my hand is a combination of bone and flesh and blood. So in fact, it's not called a hand by itself. So this is what we mean by the empty nature of something. The next character of truth is that truth is beyond the limits of time and space. So it's eternal. So like the theories I've just presented to you before, impermanence, cause and effect, and emptiness, all of these rules of life, or the rules, the way according to which the universe operates, will continue to function throughout time. So it doesn't stop to be true just because the Buddha is no longer alive, because the truth is beyond time. And also it's beyond space. So truth is like water. If you put water in a glass, then it will appear in the form of a glass. But when you change it into a different container, although it changes in shape, but it never actually really changes in essence. So this is another feature or characteristic of the Dharma. So basically truth is blended into our surroundings. It's everywhere. It's with us. And it's everything we see. It's everything that we come across. So taking refuge in the Dharma is like building a waterworks in our heart or in our mind. We know that water cleanses our body and it quenches our thirst. So the same goes to our spiritual needs. Water here can help quench our thirst for the truth, and it can also cleanse our body and mind that has been impure. So water, we know that for the many lives in this world to grow, we need water. So therefore, water is like a source of life. The same goes to this Dharma water. This Dharma water provides a source of life for our spiritual growth. So who can be the Dharma? You may think, well, who is the Dharma? Who can be the Dharma? Well, the Dharma can be the temples that we go to. It could be the sutras that we read, or it could be our fellow Buddhists. It could be everything around us. So it's anything that points in the way of ultimate truth. Then, of course, and anything that points in the way of liberation, then it is Dharma. The next item of the Triple Gem is what we call the Sangha. Sangha is also a Sanskrit word that means a harmonious or happy Buddhist community. The Sangha provides a role model to how we as human beings should behave in this society. So they create a link between the ordinary beings, which is us, and the saintly. So here the Sangha consists of people who have come to be a part of this community out of their own free will or choice. So nobody actually forced them into it. And within this Sangha, everybody lives according to one teacher and one path. So we all learn from the same idea. We all practice the same way, or we all do the same practice. We're not different from anybody. In the Sangha, members are unified in thoughts. So they follow the same rules and precepts, because in a community, in order to govern or rule a community, everybody needs to abide by the regulations that have been set up. Furthermore, life in the Sangha is based on equal sharing of common goods. Here, harmony has two basic meanings. For one, the monks or the nuns live in harmony with the same principle or idea that lead to enlightenment. So here in the Sangha, it was the truth that was taught by the Buddha. So they all practice according to these truths, and they all try to practice and travel towards the same goal. The next meaning of the 6 harmonies is that their daily behavior follow the 6 ideals, or what we call the 6 points of reverent harmony. What are these? They are 1, harmony of views, harmony of morality, harmony of benefit, harmony of aims, harmony of speech, and harmony of being. What exactly do these mean? Harmony of views means they have harmony in thoughts, harmony in views and their ideals. Harmony of morality means that they all uphold the same moral principles. So everybody is equal in front of these principles. Nobody has any privileges. Nobody lives differently. They are all the same. And harmony of benefits means that they all live the same way. So nobody in this community has more than anyone else. So it's an equal sharing of living goods, basically. Harmony of aims means, well, they have the same aims. So the members of the Sangha try to achieve these aims in harmonious ways. Harmony of speech means that they try to get along in harmony with the things they say. So there will be no arguments. So they'll always be in harmony in what they say. Harmony of being means that they all exist or live in harmony. So basically they try not to violate the rights of any other people within this little community. So basically it's all about respect and understanding, and respect and tolerance. So these 6 harmonies equal to how the Dharma should be practiced. There's more that I'm going to talk about the meaning of Sangha, but here let us once again take a short break and see you back.